Your Excellency Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Your Excellency General Abdel Fattah, President of Transitional Sovereign Council of the Republic of Sudan, Your Excellency Mr. Hamza Abdi, Prime Minister of the Republic of Somalia, Your Excellency Mr. John Mahama, former President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency Mr. Hailemariam Desalegn, former Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Your Excellencies, the ambassadors here present, but most importantly, our host who welcomed us yesterday, all protocol observed, eminent African personalities, representatives from the African Union and the regional economic communities, think tanks, the academia and the private sector, the Institute for the Peace and Security Studies who have organized this forum, distinguished participants. Your Excellency, Prime Minister of Ethiopia, I am here to represent your brother, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda. And therefore, allow me at the outset to bring you greetings from His Excellency, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the government of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia for the excellent hospitality they have extended to me and my delegation since our arrival in this wonderful city of Bahir Dar, which also doubles as my area of origin. In Uganda, we have the people called the Ateker. The Ateker people are very proud to be associated with Abyssinia. And when there is a small quarrel in the village, in Uganda, there are some elders threaten that if the quarrel persists, they can come back to Abyssinia. And there are some young girls in Uganda, sometimes when they want to express their concern about how their hair looks, they say that who brought us from Ethiopia and our hair would now be long like those Ethiopian girls. So, Excellencies, I am very happy to be home. I am part of you. And I am just wondering whether the Ethiopians there in the villages, in their small towns, watching us on TV, are now aware that I am their sister. And if they are not, I would like them to know. So the message I'm going to give is a message from His Excellency the President himself, and therefore I am compelled to read it as he prepared it. For instance, Uganda greatly appreciates the invitation to this high-level forum on security in Africa, where we together get the opportunity to engage and explore African-led solutions. As we respond to the August 2009 African Union Tripoli Declaration on the elimination of conflicts and promotion of sustainable peace on our continent, I am confident that we shall share views and experiences in a time-efficient, result-oriented, and open manner that will adequately address this year's theme, which is managing security threats, building resilience for the Africa we want. And I would like to reiterate that Africa is still faced with 5 forms of insecurity, including military security, economic security, environmental security, political security, and cultural security. And we must devise mechanisms and solutions to all those forms of insecurity. To begin with, Excellencies, unconstitutional changes of government is a matter of concern to Uganda. Our sister countries, including Chad, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Sudan, and Burkina Faso, are dealing with the aftermath of coup d'etats that occurred in the last 18 months. Uganda commends the African Union and the Economic Community of West African States for all the efforts they are undertaking to ensure that these states do commit to civilian transformation by holding elections at an appropriate time. 18 African countries were slated to hold elections this year. This has undoubtedly been a measure of the continent's resilience in as far as building democratic governance is concerned. We congratulate all those who have successfully and peacefully held their elections and wish the same to those countries yet to hold their elections. Uganda as well commends the Southern African Development Community for their diplomatic efforts in Eswatini, where they are struggling to establish a national dialogue process after months of tension in that beautiful kingdom. On global security affecting the continent, radical extremism has been on the rise in the world. According to the African Center for the Study and Research on Terrorism for Africa, the activities of terrorists and violent extremists have been on an upward trajectory and are reported in the Sahel, Lake Chad Basin, Great Lakes region, and in the Horn of Africa, etc., by armed actors such as Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, the Lord's Resistance Army of Joseph Kony, and the Allied Democratic Forces, which is affiliated to the Daesh, among others. In the Great Lakes region, negative elements such as the ADF recruits not only in Uganda, but also other countries in the region, and this poses a great threat to our national, regional, and international peace and security. Worldwide, radical extremists are said to exploit grievances linked to structural factors such as unemployment, underdevelopment, poverty, lack of access to education, real or perceived political or social exclusion, ethnic, national, and religious discrimination, and marginalization. This leads to radicalization of young people and their being easily recruited into criminal groups while promising them an alternative and better livelihood. It is in addressing these challenges collectively that we can work towards eliminating the scourge. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Russia-Ukraine war is raising the cost of staple food at a time of an extreme food insecurity in many parts of the world, including Africa. Some countries on our continent are experiencing food insecurity, while others are experiencing famine-like conditions. We should work towards reversing this trend. On COVID-19, in the context of peace and security on the African continent, it was predicted that the impact of COVID-19 would be particularly catastrophic in the African continent. However, Over the last 24 months since the first COVID-19 case was diagnosed in the African continent on 14th February 2020 in Egypt, the pattern has been one of resilience. I congratulate the African countries in the fight against COVID-19. Now we have to deal with the manufacture of our own vaccines and scientifically prepare for any unforeseen epidemics. On climate change preparedness, adaptation, and financing, I note that the global efforts to address climate change continue to fall short of what is required to keep the Paris Agreement temperature goal well below 1.5 degrees Celsius. Last year's global negotiations resulted in some gains. For example, financing for adaptation and curbing deforestation. Commitments to curb greenhouse gas emissions remain insufficient, as do financing commitments to help developing countries to adapt to climate change. In less than a month from today, Egypt will be hosting COP27, billed as the Africa COP. Africa should seek for opportunities to secure meaningful commitments to its agenda. Africa has long been clear about its climate priorities. The region needs financing to support adaptation, as well as technology transfer and other forms of support. Africa is acutely aware of the need for climate action, but such action should also support the region's development and industrialization ambitions. That will require skills and capacity development, green jobs and investment. At COP27, Africa needs to push for concrete action and more ambitious commitments around climate change financing. Excellencies, on oil and gas, there is need to support African countries in commercializing their oil and gas reserves, because this will provide funds for some of the countries like Uganda, which have these resources, to develop and invest in a more renewable energy sources and the achievement of energy access for all their people. In addition, liquid petroleum gas from such projects will be key in providing a cleaner cooking energy source that will save forest cover, which is being lost rapidly to charcoal burning and firewood. On functional relevance of existing peace and security institutions and normative frameworks at regional and continental level. The Peace and Security Council, the most visible component of the African peace and security architecture to date, supported by the Commission, a panel of the wise, a continental early warning system, an African standby force, and a special fund, is yet to deliver the expected dividends. Among other things, the objectives of the Peace and Security Council are to promote peace and security and stability in Africa in order to guarantee the protection and preservation of life and property. African countries have a rich, varied cultural heritage with huge potential to facilitate and promote social cohesion and sustainable development in the region. Lakes, rivers, game parks, which cut across African countries, should be a source of unity as opposed to being a source of conflict. The challenge is to build on this varied cultural heritage and help fledgling economies benefit from sustainable development. Africa's cultural environment requires the strengthening of institutional and individual capacities. In this regard, Africa's partnership with UNESCO can be an opportunity to help strengthen policies and professional capacities necessary to ensure the effective protection, safeguarding, and promotion of heritage. Secondly, respect for cultural identities and the development of viable cultural and creative industry as drivers for growth and peace. Third, efforts to combat prejudice, racism, and discrimination on the account of tribe, gender, creed, age, color, etc., and to foster reconciliation and new ways of living together, undertaken in the context of International Decade of People of African Descent. Excellencies, as I come to a close of my remarks, I wish to share with you some of the concrete actions Uganda has taken in managing security threats and building the resilience for Africa we want. First, regarding the coup d'etat, Uganda remains categorical that coup makers have no right to interfere with Africa's destiny. We are supportive of the African Union minimum position of outlawing these coups. As President Museveni has clearly put it, Uganda believes in election of one person, one vote, and by secret ballot at regular intervals. We strongly believe that this minimum set by AU is a good one. Secondly, we have enhanced compliance with continental, regional, and national laws to address threats to constitutional order. Uganda believes that peace efforts must be like the Christian Trinity, involving the three levels of internal players, regional players, and international players. In a bid to address global insecurity, our view has been to engage the youth and keep them away from being lured into violent extremism and fundamentalism. In this endeavor, the government of Uganda has adopted both hard and soft approaches to deal with terrorism and radicalism. In an enduring effort to deal with the root causes of this challenge, in addressing the nexus between development and de-radicalization, Uganda has designed and is currently implementing the parish development model as an all-inclusive development and service delivery approach aimed at organizing and delivering public and private sector interventions for wealth creation and employment generation at the parish level as the lowest economic planning unit. Fourthly, Uganda government has established dedicated programs to address the concerns of the youth, such as the Youth Livelihood Program, Youth Venture Capital Fund, Green Jobs and Fair Markets Program, Youth Innovation Fund, Uganda Skills Development Project, Youth Business Innovation and Entrepreneurship Facility, and Operation Wealth Creation, among others. These programs are designed to support young people to find employment by extending grants and other support to small groups of young entrepreneurs, to help them start small businesses and create employment for themselves and for other young job seekers. Uganda has continued to emphasize and encourage the youth to find jobs in commercial, agriculture, industry and manufacturing, services sector, and ICT. Lastly, in order to enhance the building of democratic institutions on our continent, Uganda urges all AU members to firmly embrace the African peer review mechanism, a continental good governance monitoring and promotion tool, it is striving for universal accession by 2023. Currently, 41 out of Africa's 55 states, including Uganda, are voluntary members. I would like to persuade other members who have not voluntarily subscribed to subscribe. We have promoted politics of ideology rather than politics of identity. Politics of focused on common needs of our people. We have embraced the strategy of integration for bigger markets and joint security forces in dealing with the security challenges together. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your kind attention. This is a message from His Excellency the President of Uganda. Thank you.
Your Excellency,